Radio, well, it's looking for a reason to exist. Radio, kind of or broadcast radio, kind of commercial radio, is looking for a new reason to exist, because much of what it traditionally has done for the past kind of 20 or 30 years is being taken over by new technology. So the purpose of radio is changing, I think. Well, the music industry is a technology industry, and it's always been driven by the advances in technology. You know, pop songs are 3 minutes long because of how much music you could fit on a 7-inch single, and you know, albums are 12 songs, and kind of, you know, as long as they are. CDs changed that, you know, the internet's changing that again. You know, there are always new ways popping up of finding new music and consuming music. You know, once upon a time, FM radio was that. You know, it all seems quite old-fashioned now, but that was the brand new horizon for music. You know, a few decades ago. So, you know, in a couple of decades' time, TikTok will seem very old-fashioned and kind of will be for rather boring people. You know, right now it's where the action is. It'll move on somewhere else. It's always been like that. It will always be like that. I guess that, so I'm not nostalgic about radio. I'm not saying radio is better at doing anything than any of these other kinds of media are. You know, these things come and go. And from an artist perspective, each new kind of technology gives us new opportunities. Yes, it kind of forces us to change what we do in certain ways. You know, we have, because the new media are much more visual than radio was. All new artists are being forced, or, you know, all current artists are being forced to think in those kind of terms far more. You know, and making video content is now absolutely front and center. It was kind of like that in the 80s too, with MTV. You know, suddenly bands that had never made a video, didn't make video content at all, were being forced to do that, and there was lots of grumbling about it. And then MTV sort of stopped playing music, and there was no music on the TV. And then along came social media, and suddenly it's all about video content, you know, and that's kind of where we are again. So again, you know, the technology has changed what artists do. I'm not somebody that sits around waiting for inspiration. You get inspired, in my view, by doing stuff. So sitting down to write a song is the biggest inspiration for a song there is. You know, I don't wait to see how I'm feeling today, and, you know.
Yeah, like the old Greeks.
Yeah, you know, my dad was a radio engineer in the Air Force when he was young. He used to build and repair radios for aeroplanes, and so he taught me radio electronics when I was very young, and we used to sit around the kitchen table with a soldering iron and building radios from bags of electronic components. So radio has been very important to me throughout my life. You know, it was I had a radio by my bedside as a kid growing up, and I used to listen to long wave radio, where you can listen to stations from all over the world. They seemed to me at that time very exotic. The languages and the music and the voices I was hearing, and the texture of the radio stations was very evocative for me. And also I was listening to a lot of foreign countries had English language broadcasts, so I was listening to different opinions from all over the world as well, and that was my kind of political awakening, really. I wanted the album to kind of feel like you were turning the dial on a radio station, and when I'm turning the dial on a radio, and when you come across a new station, the station kind of pops out. So that was the original idea, you know, and that was the kind of, you know, the feeling I wanted the album to have. radio technology underpins the modern world. All the things that we rely on to make our lives easier, like mobile phones, like Apple watches, all of this stuff. These are all radios. This is a radio transmitter and a radio receiver. Radio is what makes all of this stuff work by magic. It's what makes Wi-Fi work. It's what makes so much of what we take for granted now work. So radio is the magic underpinning modern technology.